Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I'm joined once again by Val.
In a long time.
Today we are going to be seeing Odon River with Protosszocker versus Per Protosszocker using the 2nd Infantry and Per using the 1st Pancerna. So, yeah, been a while since you've done a cast with me, Val, but what are you thinking of these divisions?
Oh, it's been so long. No, these are pretty strong. Pancerna is, I'd say, very good at the moment. What do you think on the Pancerna as opposed to... Because the 2nd Infantry was very, very good a while ago. But it did fall out of favour in 1v1, to remember correctly.
Yeah, so the 1st Pancerna, it's brilliant because it just has a lot of strong units, especially in Phase A. It has like Staghounds, it has Cromwell 6s, you've got an abundance of like Streltsy, and that just makes them very flexible on a lot of different maps. Like the Cromwell's obviously favouring open map engagements because they have the 1200 meter range HE, and then on the side of the 2nd Infantry, they have similar units in the form of like the M7 DDs, but the main strengths of the 2nd Infantry come from their M4s, so that's likely what we would be seeing.
It is indeed, and this is the small version of the map Odon, which I think is probably my favourite map on 3v3. But we have a nice river in between, it's a nice demarcation point. You know, meandering a little bit to the left and right of the midpoint, but some really key towns, or 2 key towns really, to control, and a few forest blocks as well.
Yeah, so the beauty, or maybe not so beauty, of this map in 1v1 is that there is like choke points. There's like 3 bridges that are the only 3 places where you can move vehicles across the river, and then the rest of the place is just entirely infantry dominated. So that's going to be interesting to see how, if that leads to a lead on either side, you can have like the Streltsy or even like Saperzy late game maybe pushing across these rivers. There's also Dragoni, of course, with the Piats, but on the side of the 2nd Infantry early on, you do, of course, have all of the Ranger units, like Ranger Supports and Ranger Assaults, Ranger Marauders, all of those kinds of things that will really give the 2nd Infantry an edge in infantry early on. But with the fire support that the 1st Pancerna provides, it probably won't be that much of an issue for Per early on.
I don't know about that, because the way the map is set out, there is a lot of tree cover that can sort of protect you. I would say that the best chance for the 2nd Infantry here, because I feel like 2nd Infantry, you do trade off those fantastic infantry units, the Rangers and with the command, the 3-star units basically. You trade them off against the sheer cost efficiency of some of the Polish units and just the British infantry in general. And especially when you've got all of the Cromwells. I can't remember sure what do you know what phase they get Cromwells?
Well, they can get, I think, a Cromwell 5 in Phase A. And then get Cromwell 6s for sure. I think you get a maximum of 4 Cromwell 6s, and they're all Phase A cards. So, yeah, it's quite a lot. But anyway,
that is pretty withering.
Yeah, should we have a look at some of the units going down anyway? We've got Protosszocker on the left here. He's at the top side, got some Ranger support. He's got the Ranger Marauders in there. Got a M1 gun moving to the front line with the Ranger Leader. Rifles, and 2 units of rifles there. Further down, there's going to be a Ranger Mortar with the Ranger Leader. South of that is the Ranger Marauders, another mortar, and a couple units of rifles. One a bit late to deploy, but either way we'll get to the front line in time. We have the M1 gun on the very bottom with more Ranger Marauders, Ranger Assault, and rifles. So a very infantry-based start from Protosszocker. On the side of Per, we are seeing an Alster out at the start, and on the top side a very large focus on units. We've got the Cromwell 5 there from the start, accompanied by a Morris LRC. I love to see those in play sometimes. Got multiple units of Streltsy, some command in there, and also a 6-pounder. For the mid, it's just going to be 1 unit of Streltsy. You've got 1 command infantry going into the town and 1 Streltsy for the very bottom. So a huge concentration of forces heading into this topside engagement.
I feel like this is the classic mistake of someone playing Steel Division, maybe being a little less experienced or not prepared. In 1v1s, it's always a good idea to try and concentrate your forces if you can, and the Protosszocker can see this massive push coming in the top, but he's still being really hesitant to push his forces forward in this south side, and that's what he needs to do if he wants to come out of this with any semblance of equality.
Yeah, so Herr Robert has pretty much revealed his hand by having both the Cromwell 5 here and the Morris LRC alongside this recon aircraft just flying about. He's also got a Hurricane Mark IV in at the start, so there's a huge investment up here, and Protosszocker really needs to get a move on the mid and on the bottom side to take full advantage of that, rather than playing reactively to this push that Herr Robert has had. Now, early on we did see a few of these Strelzy. The Strelzy actually didn't last very long in this engagement. I think 3 squads of them got pretty much killed here. One's left on 1 man, but if this Ranger leader gets fully pinned, that means that the rifles are going to be surrendered, and Protosszocker is going to be left in a very, very tough position here, because as soon as Herr Robert gets across this river and has a way to get more units across the river, it's going to like allow him to reinforce into an area that Protosszocker really doesn't want him to be.
I feel like Protosszocker has really been caught back by this. And he's obviously playing a little bit stressed. You can see he's not even using the 60mm mortar that he's got in this forest. He's just moving it now. He's starting to, looks like he's starting to move some of his units down south, but I almost feel like it's a bit late now, really.
Yeah, so the M1 gun did come in here, but it failed to get the one-shot kill onto the Cromwell 5, which revealed it to the Hurricane. Obviously, there is still the Elster flying overhead, so really Herr Robert taking full advantage of the First Pancerna's air dominance. Like, those Hurricanes can be absolutely like just so oppressive, and in this case he's really made good use of them.
It's not just that though. He's one thing I'm quite impressed with, and I suppose he's probably done this a little bit because of the deck he's against. The 2nd Infantry, none of the transports they brought were kind of hard tracks of any kind. They don't have any way to fight back against this recon plane. You can just sit there above in the sky with no issues at all.
Yeah, so what I'd like to see is just like an AA piece. You know, that would have been the natural sort of response here, I think. If I was seeing this recon aircraft and it was revealing all of these AT guns that you really need to just stop this push from being effective, you got to get rid of that recon aircraft because it's just causing him so much issues right now, and an AA gun would be the way to do that. But it looks like it's not really going to matter. This command carrier is likely going to be able to run down this M1 gun unless it gets a one-shot kill. Never mind the Hurricane Mark IV there coming in with a little bit of strafing run, finishing things off. The other M1 gun's going to be pinned soon. There is a 3rd M1 gun on the way from Protosszocker, and he is really struggling to hold back this significant push out of Herr Robert, and Herr Robert's just sort of solidifying it now with his infantry reinforcements. These Strelzy going to come in and just pick up all of this land for him and make it very difficult for Protosszocker to push back regardless of whether his M1 gun finds kills.
He's finally got an AA piece coming in, but it's unfortunately I think it's just far too late. And again, going back to what we talked about a little bit ago, if you look at Protossocker's units on the rest of the map, they're only just across the river. This is not where you want to be if someone's hard pushed you on one side. You want to kind of turn the map on its side and try and respond to this by going all the way to the other guy's land spawn if you can. Yeah, this has been over, I think. Over for a while, maybe.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's just like, yeah, these rifles should definitely be probing a lot harder. Like, this Ranger Assault on the bottom side has found a salient, like, very easily. So you could very simply move up into that and try and take more ground. He's only behind by a +1 at the moment. So it's not the end of the world. You can definitely try and keep these M1 guns alive and then bring in, he's now got that AA there to sort of cover them, and that may allow him to stop this Cromwell 5 and Morris LRC from continuing forwards, and he can just kind of contain this topside push and then sort of proceed to push back on the bottom side where Herr Robert's units are not. So whilst Herr Robert's continuing to try and push against a brick wall where like the reinforcements are coming out right in his face, Protosszocker can choose to maybe try and push somewhere else, maybe bring in an M4 to the bottom side even, and just try and break through down here. I think that would be an ideal thing to do. But as we can see, the Cromwell 5 did get line of sight onto the Bofors, which is a very big mistake, like a misdeployment there from Protosszocker, really, leaving that in the open there, because now he doesn't have that AA again, and the recon vehicle, or the recon aircraft, regardless, would have spotted the M1 gun now, and it doesn't matter anyway because the Hurricane can see it in the open. So yeah, he's just in a very tough spot. The M4DD may be his last chance. That's not going to be pinned down so easily by the Hurricane Mark IV, but the Cromwell 5 definitely will be under threat from that.
I think as well, Herr Robert has brought an AT piece as well. But these Hurricanes are like the A10s of the Polish deck. They just come in, they suppress everything they shoot at. And really good investment from Herr Robert. It's really paid off for him. I feel like it's just one of those situations where the sort of strategy you talked about, kind of trying to isolate this top side and push elsewhere, it's what Protosszocker has to do, but I don't think he's got the material.
Yeah, I think it's just gone a little bit too far. Like a lot of those AT guns just dying straight away. It's a lot of points he's invested and just lost, like without any sort of damage being done to Herr Robert's forces. And now even this double Hurricane is just even pinning down this M4DD. I thought one probably wouldn't do the job, but Herr Robert's one step ahead with two now in the air. And I think even a third is now on the way. Yes, it is. And that's just going to make things incredibly difficult. There is another Bofors being brought in at spawn, but it's going to take a little while to force back these Hurricanes, nonetheless. Oh, nice kill there from the Cromwell 5. Takes out the M4 at close range. That 10 armor isn't going to help you at 400 meter range, that's for sure.
This is now the point where those Hurricanes can probably just go and kill the AA on their own.
Yeah, indeed, actually, yeah. Both, like, if more Hurricanes come in, they can quite simply strafe that Bofors. However, it's unlikely to happen. I think Herr Robert's getting very close to even cutting off the land spawn entirely. We might see that land reinforcement point just dim, in which case Protosszocker will have completely lost the top side, and currently he's only just starting to advance on the bottom. Carrier is holding back his rifles in the open, and you can see that the Streltsy did push back rifles at close range with the help of the Hurricanes. So, yeah, Protosszocker kind of lost his chance to push on this bottom side now, and it's pretty much over. Like, there's +2 on the board for Herr Robert, and he's starting to count up a lot of points, and the territory lead is just going insanely in his favour as he starts to encircle the remainder of Protossocker's units.
We talked about this at the start of the game, that one of the things the 2nd Infantry has is this super good high quality Ranger infantry, and it just hasn't paid off for him. Like, you need to be killing multiple of these Streltsy squads to make them worth it. You need to be... I mean, at this point it's not even the Streltsy squads that were really the problem, it's just that he lost so much on that top side, some misinvestment perhaps with more of the AT guns, and these Hurricanes just came cleaned up.
Yeah, so the great thing about the Polish, like their Streltsy, like compared to normal rifle squads in British divisions, is they cost 15 points in comparison to 20 points. So that the amount of them that you can have for the same price is quite impressive. Like, you get 3 rifle squad for 60 points, but you get 4 Streltsy squads for 60 points. Like, that is a huge difference, especially when it comes down to, like you say, the elite infantry trying to deal with those overwhelming numbers. But we saw the Streltsy kind of die early on, and now it actually seems like Robert's cut himself off, found himself surrounded behind enemy lines, but probably not going to matter as the territory lead is still well in his favour, and as this Morris LRC comes charging through, he might connect that territory once again, so no more morale penalties.
I mean, this was just a really well played kind of push into one area, a concentration of force by Herr Robert. I definitely like what he's done with these just these casual Streltsy movements in the back end of Protossocker's lines.
Yeah, he's just coming in, he's just filling out the territory, he's pushed himself to a +3, and he's just making it difficult for Protosszocker to predict where any of the units are, but there we go, Protosszocker is going to surrender, and after 10 minutes and 12 seconds, the game's already over. And fantastic performance by Herr Robert is going to move him on to the 4th round lower bracket, and Protossocker's going to find himself knocked out of the tournament. So, yeah, what did you think of that overall? I mean,
that was fast and brutal. This is really one of the things that you see in sort of the play of a good 1v1 player, is someone who can have the minimal amount of sort of points covering the rest of the field and then concentrate in one area. You saw this all the way through the War Game series. You see this in Steel Division. I guarantee if any other games come out like this, you'll see the same thing. If you can concentrate your forces together, it tends to be that you kill more than you lose if you fought individually against the enemy. And so having these Streltsy here in this good position, having this really, really good set of air support, which is a definite strength of the Poles, it meant that he could even, with those hurricanes, he could protect those sort of low investment units on the other side of the map as well, as we saw near the end when Protosszocker finally decided to start pushing. The hurricanes just swept round and started stunning everything he had.
Yeah, so in the end, it just ended up being a really sort of exciting game from the offset, and Herr Robert just closing it out really, really well. Didn't get stopped by Protossocker's efforts there, and yeah, all that Protosszocker really could have done in that situation is maybe just played a lot more conservative, not brought the AT guns right up into the face of Herr Robert as he continued to push forwards. Maybe just sort of created a new defensive line and then used the time that he had left to push on that bottom side instead. But I think he just caught out by the lightning fast play out of Herr Robert there and was forced to react. I mean, he couldn't not react to it, but the point is that he maybe could have invested some of those points that he just lost for free into like an M4 for the bottom side that maybe would have gained him ground in response. But in the end, Herr Robert there with the 585 kills to 140 losses. If we go through the kills tab, you can see that initially, like, the M1 guns did nothing. They only got a couple kills later on onto the Morris LRC and the carrier there, so they just got overrun. The Ranger Leader and the rifles did manage to do a lot of damage to the Streltsy early, but they were just there as meat shields for that Cromwell 5 and I mean the Morris LRC and also the carrier that was up there as well. So those were what really did the damage and what pinned down all of the units very quickly alongside the Hurricane. And with the recon help, like, that recon aircraft needed to be dealt with almost immediately. As soon as that came in and was starting to spot all his AT guns, the right response is just 1 AA. It would have solved a lot of his problems. So yeah.
I think you're definitely right on that. I mean, Herr Robert's playing Polish, but he certainly blitzkrieged his way through that game. So
yeah, you see these carrier kills and the Cromwell 5 kills, just absolutely insane. It's like 3 M1 guns between those two starter units. And the Morris LRC not necessarily picking up many kills, but gives the recon enough that he can see the units in the tree lines, at least the not very good stealth ones, and allows the Cromwell 5 and carrier to sort of pin those down. Because a lot of the kills were just from those two units, and that's pretty much it. But that's going to be all for now. Thanks to Valve for helping me out with this one, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. But that's going to be all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.